Gediminas Castle Tower. It's one of the most prominent landmarks in Vilnius and is even the symbol representing the city. I'm not going to go through too much of this landmark's history in this video, and instead this will be a more practical guide to visiting this nationally important attraction, including access and practical advice. According to the city of Vilnius, its first brick castle was completed in 1409 by Grand Duke Gediminas, hence the name Gediminas Tower. The Vilnius Castle Museum, just this part up here, was opened in 1960 and has more or less been a museum ever since. The first thing visitors should know is that it's technically free to go up to the top of this hill, if you have the physical ability. For those who would rather not walk/hike up this hill, they can take the Funicular, which currently costs €2 to go in one direction, or €3 for a round trip up and down. It used to be €1 each way, but I guess prices had to change at some point. Hopefully prices won't change too much by the time you watch this video. The Funicular is said to operate every day from 10 AM to 8 PM. According to the attraction's official website, this funicular is free of charge for preschool children, orphans and socially vulnerable children, disabled people, plus one accompanying person for the one disabled person, seniors over 80, and Ukrainian citizens. But again, it is still free for anyone to walk up themselves. Now, if you do want to walk up, you can access the tower through these gates back here, on a street called Trispalvis Alea. This might be confusing for some who first see the hill from the Old Town side, since a trail is kind of visible on the southern slope. But nope, due to slope instability, this trail was shut down and only the trail on the north side is used. The gate of the fence surrounding the Gediminas Hill Fort is closed from 11 PM to 7 AM, meaning that you can head up to the top of the hill anytime between 7 AM all the way to 11 PM. I should say that I'm going off of the information posted to the official website, but I guess things can be subject to change. Now, if you decide to walk up, don't worry, it's not going to take too terribly long, even if it looks really high up. I've personally run up from the bottom to the top in less than 2 minutes, which leaves you completely exhausted. But if you're walking and maybe just take a short break every few minutes, I don't think it'll take you more than 15 or 20 minutes. Just be sure to have proper footwear since you'll be walking over large stones and then wooden stairs. Greeting you up at the top is a wonderful view of the city. There's a nice panorama of the Vilnius Old Town on the south side and the newer part of the city across the river on the north side. If you're just there for the view, you probably won't need to spend more than 20 or 30 minutes up there. Of course, if you want to go into the tower, which is the museum, well then that will take you more time. In the distance you'll see the Three Cross Monument, and so that might be your next mini trek. Again, you get a nice view of Vilnius Old Town, but then you also get a view of the castle tower and the TV tower behind it, far in the distance. Anyways, for the castle tower and its museum, it's open every day from 10 AM to 8 PM, and there's even special pricing for certain holidays. Do note, however, that the ticket office closes 30 minutes before closing time. You might also want to keep in mind that on the last Sunday of each month, the Gediminas Tower Museum is free of charge, along with a few other museums across Lithuania. That's a great way to save a few euros, or many more euros if you're on a family trip. And then at this point, I'm just going to read word for word the description of the museum posted to the official website, just so I can be more accurate. As the visitor climbs up the narrow steps of the tower, they will discover several levels of exhibits presenting the development of the Vilnius Castle territory, as well as exhibits of Baltic jewelry and important military artifacts. The second floor contains the interactive exhibition, Visual Timeline, a look through the windows of Gediminas Tower. On the third floor, visitors can experience what it meant to stand in the Baltic Way, one of the most memorable of the big anti-Soviet demonstrations when, in August 1989, close to 2 million people linked hands from Vilnius to Tallinn. Okay, so going back to my own words, up at the very top of the tower is an observation area where you're even higher up and you can see even more of the city. Is it better than the view from the hill/bottom of the tower? Well, maybe, but perhaps not by much. Now, when it comes to the time of year, well, I'd say it's a pretty low risk thing to do any time of the year. So even if the weather isn't great, well, it's not like you've wasted much money or time checking this place out. However, there are some particularly special times of the year where coming here would make for an even more incredible sight. The Vilnius Light Festival is one such time that comes to mind. It's where the top of the castle tower blasts a few spotlights into the sky, and this takes place sometime in January, and so just search Vilnius Light Festival for more details. Yes, of course, you can see this from a few kilometers away, but coming up to the tower, you can get some pretty cool photos for yourself as well. And these are shots that you wouldn't get at any other time of the year. Now, I haven't come up here myself on March 11th, Lithuania's other day of independence, but I do wonder if you'd get a great view of the long flag/banner parade that takes place to celebrate the country's restoration of independence. These are just some things to think about, I guess. A final note about the hill is the topic of erosion, because undoubtedly someone will comment about it. Now, conventional wisdom would say that deforestation is what has caused landslides every few years. After all, this hill was covered in trees years ago, as you can see by these old photos. One foreign professor who was the head of the environmental management laboratory at a local Vilnius university even said that tree roots held the soil. And I would have thought this was the case as well. However, a more recent article by Made in Vilnius discusses how it's actually a myth that landslides only started after the trees were cut down. In reality, the first recorded case of a large landslide from Gediminas Castle Hill was in 1396. The article states, the trees were big, so the slope held them, rather than the trees holding the slope. The trees used to fall there by themselves, so we can't really talk about the fact that they were holding the slope. The author of this article, after doing extensive research, says that the destruction of bushes and grass was actually what had a negative effect on the slope. In some places, growths of sedges and larger, long-rooted grasses held the surface layers of the soil. Anyways, if you're watching this video with the intention of visiting the castle tower and hill, just come before another landslide takes place and shuts things down for a few days. And maybe these landslides will make it look even worse. I do hope that all of the stabilization work taking place will eventually have a lasting, positive impact on giving this landmark some much needed stability. Anyways, I do hope that this video guide helps you with your visit. This castle tower is definitely one of my favorite places to go in the city, so I really hope you'll get to experience it as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.